Now, hello, hello, good morning, good morning to you. Hello, everybody, welcome to another video. My name is RODGON. I am an illustrator, I am a cartoonist, I'm a designer, but more importantly than anything, today I am your art instructor. And today we shall venture into the world of drawing. We will talk a little bit about what it's like to learn all this difficult stuff. We will learn a little bit of how to improve our art skills. And we will get to know something new today. So I like to start off my streams by recapping what we talked about a couple days before. And so let's do that. So we just started a new sketchbook, a brand new sketchbook. And the last couple days have been spent doing the first couple pages. The first page was a lovely collage of a bunch of random stuff that you guys asked for. So you guys asked for orcas, mooses, axolotls, ferrets, snails, bunnies, snakes, penguins, toucans, otters, and a bunch of variety of other things. So I just wanted to test my ability to be able to test and draw things on command, and you guys came up with a really cool scheme. Yesterday, we began with our actual formal pages of our sketchbook, and we decided that we were going to use origami paper to be able to get half my pages in one color, so I can use markers and color, and then the other page will be blank, left for whatever I want to use with white paper. So that was something that we decided yesterday. And I'll leave these extra pages on the front for my sketchbook rules. I'm going to get stickers made with the sketchbook rules for sketchbook etiquette. And it's something that I normally draw into every one of my sketch pages. So I will take time to do that later though. Hi from the Philippines. And multimedia student here, your videos are really helping me. Woohoo! Yeah, baby. That's what I want to hear. Yeah. I am a good teacher. I'm a good teacher. I don't know much about adulting, but I am a good teacher to you all. I don't know how to sharpen these little wax papers. I don't know if it's with a pencil. I don't think it's with a sharpener though. But I hate it being so dull. You can always sharpen your tool by actually using it on the side. So if you want something that's really nice and sharp, like a pencil, you can always use the edges and then just grind it down to the point that you guys find satisfying. Cool. Done. And then you can use it on cardstock a little bit better. Which is really good. If you guys were wondering how these pencils are used, that's how you use them. Anyways, let's go on to our lesson today. Okay, what should we learn today? I kind of want to go into some fantasy stuff. I want to draw some fantasy stuff just because I want this sketchbook to be more geared towards imagination. So our studies today are going to a certain topic, and then we will use that topic to apply that, and we're going to apply our studies here. So applications, okay? So one side, we're going to study something. The other side, we're going to finish and do something cool. Hey, Wes, just stopping by to say hello. Hey, so hey, hi to Finn. Wish him luck. All right, so what have you been learning? Yes, like I just finished my anatomy course for 21 Draw. I just finally finished it. Like literally it's uploading right now to their servers. And maybe I can give you guys a quick rundown of what I actually taught within that lesson. Not as a precap or like a precursor or like, you know, like trying to get you guys to buy it. No, 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 no. Just, I want to give you guys the knowledge. I just want to give you guys the knowledge. This is going to be the basic breakdown of the body, how I establish it within my course. It's 2 shapes for upper body, followed by an outside edge of your arm into volume inside. It's a very, very effective way of applying volume and body control. Once you learn a little bit about mapping a couple other points, you can get really detailed drawings with all sorts of anatomy to them. But this structure is essentially an egg and a ball, or an acorn, or like a candy corn and a ball. If you can do this, you can draw pretty much every pose in the world. Once you get to that point, drawing the rest of the pose becomes relatively simple. Because this is the rib cage and the hip bones, and that's the hardest parts to learn how to draw. Learning that gives you the freedom to be able to draw pretty much anything. Anything with the rib cage and hip bones. You can draw them straight down, or you can move them in space. Once you find these connecting points in your hip with your sushis, you can draw your legs in any direction you feel like. Any direction. Okay? Forward, backwards, just make them bigger, smaller, and that's basic foreshortening. From here, learning how to connect the arms is about giving yourselves 2 little wings coming out of the middle of your rib cage. 1 wing this way gives you an arm going this way. One wing going this way would make my arm coming in this direction. What? Make them going down, and then you have slouchy arms. So that is essentially the one thing that I have recently discovered that has made the world when it comes down to how I draw my characters. Because it has literally simplified that whole body structure to not mean to like flick people off. He has 3 books to help you out with art block. Yes, I do. I sure do. I don't like drawing flat poses. So let's see. Egg into a circle. From that circle, I'm going to go on the outside edge of that circle, and I'm going to map 2 dots. Those 2 dots are going to be where my leg comes out from. Consider this whole volume, though. You're still this is the volume. But from here, your leg comes out in one direction, and then it goes back into your body. Ta-da! It goes out, and then it goes back into my body, creating little elements of volume. Now, I can take that if I choose an angle like this. If I choose an angle like that for my arms, you end up in a situation where you get really dynamic movement. Ta-da! And that is the concept of contrapposta, which is counter movement, counter posture. So that's why a lot of people do bean bags, so they can get that angle, and then they get that compression, right? So a lot of people do this. A lot of people do it with, like, I don't know, lines from their shoulders, and then they do like their hips like this, and then they do it like that. There's a quadrillion different ways to go about it, okay? However you decide to actually tackle it, You just have to know that you have to understand it. And if it doesn't make sense, there's a couple different ways that you guys can try it. Okay, regardless of where you put your arms and stuff. I don't like, for example, the one thing that I don't like is the whole concept of the action line. I just don't like it. I hate action lines. I hate them. Why? Because you have to now stick to that one guideline, right? Now you're stuck just going about this one line. Like it just feels like I'm getting constricted. And I know that sounds weird, but I hate it. It's such a restricting thing. It's kind of like telling me like, oh, you can only draw a face in a certain way, or you can only draw a head a certain way, or like proportions have to be a certain way. Like it just, ugh. I don't like being told what to do. So I have a different system that works better for me. I work with understanding how I can move it takes a little while longer to learn, but learning the range of motion of your items, of your elements, is very important. So let's start with our two basic shapes. Everybody can draw an egg with a circle, and everybody can draw a circle. Everybody can do these. Anybody. Right now, if you have a pencil in your hand, you can draw these two shapes. I promise that you can. Okay? Nothing is going to be left to the imagination. Nothing. We're going to draw a middle line right in the middle of your body. That middle line is going to give you the point of the middle of your rib cage. From here, we're going to draw a line and touch the back of it too. The back is the spine, the front is the collarbone. From here, we're going to do little compass. The compass is going to determine how wide our shoulders are. If our shoulder is really, really far away, that means that our muscles need to be bigger to be able to fit within that space. If they're smaller, you need smaller muscles to be able to fit within that space. So that is going to be one of the big components in, scale. Learning how to control and manipulate these little shapes is what's going to give you different styles. If you draw your leg going down straight, you can get a certain style. Having that same hole, if you learn anatomy, you can add that anatomy and give yourself a nice, cool style. You can just build off that little sushi and also build depth. Or you can actually use anatomy based on those little circles and draw your legs as detailed as you want. Okay? So once you understand how they connect, style just becomes something else that you add on top of it. Style just becomes something that you king or coloring. Once you find your hip bones, you can draw your legs coming down like a sushi into an egg, into your spine, into the front of your face. Okay? The compass comes from the circle right here at the top, and it goes down and across. My arms come from the outside edge of this. This is the outside edge of my arm. The outside edge. The outside edge of my arm. And then volume goes towards the body. So all my volume for my arm goes towards my body. Outside edge overlaps to the body. Outside edge overlapping towards the body. Okay? So that is going to be the concept for posing the arms that is going to be incredibly helpful for you. And the reason that I say that is because this is what happens eventually. This is what you're going to eventually be able to do. You're going to be able to trace any object from the outside edge. You know that your mapping points for your shoulders and your hip bones are going to be here. This would be the middle of the hip bones or the middle of the sushi, where you find the 2 points. And then up here, this would be the 2 compass points. okay? So when you're drawing your shapes, all you have to do is find those 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. From here, if you draw your line out, that means that's the outside edge of your arm. You just have to draw some volume coming inside. From here, we're gonna draw the outside edge of my leg, and we gotta come and find volume inside. Outside edge, volume inside. Okay? Outside edge, either top or bottom, volume towards inside the body. But I like to go from the top always. I like the top line for the arms more. And then going down into the rib cage. Once you understand that, anything that you draw 4 points on is now a possible body. So once you understand pivot points, it's just, it becomes real easy. You can make anything from a sphere, outside volume in, outside volume in, outside volume in, outside volume in. Dee-dee. And I would recommend that you just practice that flow. Arms come out from the top and then go back in. Legs go out from the side and go back in. Once you learn that, it becomes really easy to move your arms and legs around. Would you recommend pen or pencil for people learning pencil? Pencil, 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 pencil. The only reason that I use pen, and I will explain this really quickly. The only reason I use pen is because I need a challenge. I need a challenge. I have gotten past the point of using pencil because it's not a challenge anymore. Okay? That's the only reason that I draw with pen most of the time. If I were learning, I wouldn't be using pencil. I wouldn't be using pen because it's frustrating. Right? If I'm drawing something and I can't erase it and I mess up, I'm going to get really frustrated. The reason that it looks so smooth when I do it is because I've been doing this for like 7 years. I've been doing this sort of doodling with pen for 7 years. If you guys saw my very first sketchbooks that started with pen, you guys would laugh. You guys would probably be like, oh my God, okay, now we get it. Outside edge, inside volume. Okay? Outside edges, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Okay? That is going to be something that helps you. Outside edge, inside volume. And that's something that you just have to keep in mind. Hey, Insomniac, how you doing? You're okay, you guys? Well, I hope that you are better as the day progresses, and I hope that something good happens to you today. Ta-da, yeah. All right, so now that we understand a little bit more about the pivot points, how do we use those to the advantage? Well, since we are only using two shapes, two very basic shapes to create our characters, right? If we have two shapes, well, we can rotate this really easy around those shapes. Edge, okay, outside edge, inside volume. So you can get used to overlapping and twisting and turning and doing all sorts of things very easily with this. And if you guys get better at it, you guys will eventually be able to draw all your characters like this. So understanding two basic shapes, an egg and a circle, is going to be one of the biggest things. Outside edge, inside volume, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. And then you add your style. Is it hard to switch from paper to digital? Sometimes it becomes a little harder because we think that it's a different tool. But if you find that it's how do you say this? If you find that you find the right tool that represents what you normally draw with the most often, if you find that that tool in a digital program that kind of feels like pencil, kind of feels like ballpoint pen, then you'll start understanding the whole idea behind it. It's supposed to just be a different tool. It's not supposed to be something like a complete different art form. It's different, just literally a different tool. It's like if you grab your tablet and you just, instead of watching movies sit on your phone or your tablet. That's how you should see it. You should see it more as in like, okay, well, cool. Now I have access to undo buttons. Now I have access to filters. Now I have access to this that I didn't have with my sketchbook. What can I do with that? As opposed to thinking about it as a replacement or an optional, like, oh, it has to replace it. I have to do either one or the other. No, that's just not how it works. It's just a different tool that allows you to unlock a different part of your brain, which allows you to play with different things. It's kind of like if you're saying, oh, I'm going to go running. Well, if you're going to go running, you're still exercising. But swimming is a different kind of exercise, but it's still an exercise. The spine comes up from the back. That little circle that you draw, that little circle in the compass, that is your collarbone and your neck hole. So if you have your spine in the back, you draw whatever volume you want in the front, like a cylinder, and then connect it back. And then you have a neck. You have a head, you have the spacing, you have your jaw structure, you have your neck, you have your collarbone, you have your back muscles, and then all you gotta do is add style. Whatever you want. So that is just something very useful to understand. Just knowing little tiny positioning things can sometimes be everything, the last thing needed in that memory bank to make things click. Spine in the back. You already identified the front of the rib cage with your midline and your egg. So the spine is literally right behind it. From there, you can draw a ball or you can draw whatever head shape you want. And then connect it back to your body. Your spine is the key. The spine is the key. Your spine is in the back. Not in the front, it's in the back. You can rotate your head from your spine. And then connect it back. Your head is literally the key to the head, but everybody doesn't really pay attention to that. Like everybody just wants to draw like the stylized faces like right away, or like the realistic skulls. No, just think about it like this. Your rib cage is kind of like an eggy shape. This is a profile. Your spine is obviously in the back, right? It's literally the backbone. That's the most farthest part back of your body. So your spine is in the back. This line is your spine. Here, I'll draw little riblets if you want. It normally curves a little and it reaches the top of your rib cage. The very top of your rib cage. That means that it's not like this at the top of your rib cage. It's not flat. It's flat, but it's flat at the front, not at the top. This is the top of your spine, right here. This is your collarbone a little bit lower, creating a little triangle. And guess what that triangle is? That triangle is the compass that we drew. That's the triangle that comes here. Okay? So that's how you determine that little triangle. The two dots, back, front, back, and then one for length, outside of the rib cage. Kind of looks like the eye of Sauron. Angry kaiju. Or just like an eye. You can just see it like an eyeball. If you see an eyeball on top of a rib cage, then you're good. Okay, cool. So now we have this. The spine comes up until the skull. This, again, is the front circle that you draw. The top circle is right there, and it gives you a mapping point in the front. This is going to eventually be then the neck and then the jaw. So you can draw a cylinder coming up, and then choose one of these cylinder lines to go around your body already, create your jaw, and then just taper off the neck. This is where your ears would go, and maybe give yourself a little bit of space for your brain in the back if you want that sort of styling. But that's it. That's how you do that. RODGON. I like that. RODGON seems like my twin brother. Instead of RODGON, it's RODGON. And he's a hippie, and he rides cowboys for a living. For China's region, well, I don't really know what you mean by China's region. Like, what do you mean? This is just advice in general for art. I don't know if I do it by region. Do you have any advice? Yes, RODGON is very different than RODGON. He has a very eccentric life. Okay, so since this is how the neck works, right? We have an egg, spine, a circle, cylinder. If you do that, add little circles for your cylinder, and you can find yourself faces really, really quickly. Okay? The little triangle that you draw is going to be where your arm is, and it's going to lead to the outside edge of your arm. The outside edge of your arm. Sometimes it's on the top, sometimes it's on the bottom of your arm. Okay? This way, it would be the tricep. Outside, and then volume towards inside my body. Outside, from that pivot point, outside, inside volume. Outside, inside volume. And that is how you can get all your overlapping lines for your hands in any position that you want. Okay? Now, the only time that this changes, you have 3 positions for your collarbone. You have 3 possible ways that you can draw your collarbone. Because your collarbone moves. So the little compass that you draw, normally you're going to draw it with your wingies to the side because you're relaxed and they're going to be falling down to the sides. Okay. when your arm moves up, or actually when your arm moves like even slouching, this turns more into a downward angle. Instead of being nice and straight, it starts to slouch a little bit, and then you get more of a, like a slouch. But whenever you want to lift your arms, remember that these connect to the front and the back, okay? It's kind of like just splitting it in half. When you make your arms go up, these little wingies go up. And then your arm goes from there. Remember, that little edge leads to the top of your shoulder, so your shoulder is right here. Then your shoulder has volume going one point in one side of the wings and one towards the length of your arm, and then you connect them to start generating anatomy, like musculatures and stuff like that. When you learn how to overlap them, that is going to be a completely different set of like awesomeness to you. But that's another lesson for another day. So we're almost done with our studies, and then we get to go into application. So we're going to draw something really cool with what we've learned. So far today, our lesson has been an egg with a circle in the circle for our bodies. Okay. From here, we divide the sphere in 4 and come up with our hip bones on the side, and we draw a compass to draw the mapping points for our arms. From here, we draw outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. And we can repeat that twice if you want to add more sections to your legs. Outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Your head is a cylinder coming from that hole, and you have yourself a nice little body that you can move around in any direction that you feel like. Where does the inside of the arm connect to the compass? It connects to however far wide you want your pectoral muscles. So the compass connects back to the egg. So from here to however big you want your pectoral muscles, let's say that you want really big muscles. From here to here, that is your pectoral muscle. This is how your arm connects. Your shoulder wraps around your pectoral muscle and your collarbone, and then your bicep comes in with whatever width you chose between these two. So there's a bunch of overlapping lines, but you can choose different widths for them if you decide to go with a different styling. Premiere, let me close you. I can't believe we're done with it. I can't believe we're done with the thing. I'm so happy. I'm so happy I'm done with my anatomy course. That one was 21 modules. 21 modules. It was so many lessons. So it's like a 7-hour course. Outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Freakazoid. You guys remember Freakazoid? He always ran like that. Zoom, zoom, zoom. So, yeah, today, this was a good lesson to learn. And I just recently started applying this over and over because I started realizing that. I started realizing that my body in general was so much easier to draw if I just continued my flow from the sides for arms and then went in, always gave me a nice arm, and then I would always go outside in and get really cool legs. So since I would do it with the sushis, I would do the outside and then go inside. I was like, well, does that work with everything? And yep, it sure does. It sure does. Outside volume, outside guidance, I guess, inside volume. And you can repeat that over and over. It's so cool. And once you find the mapping points, you can always reverse engineer your whole body by drawing the things that connect. So you'll be able to draw from every angle possible too. Like eventually you're gonna not be stumped by having to draw things from your core or from your body. You're gonna be able to just draw things from your hands and then build your whole body systems from there. Or you'll be able to go like, oh, I like this hand I drew. Oh, cool. And then you'll be like outside edge. Okay. Outside edge, inside volume. Okay. So that's my circle. My circle connects to my compass. And my compass connects to my head. And the compass connects to my egg, which gives me my other circle, gives me my pectoral muscles. And I can start building my character from there. If I want them in perspective, I can fit that little circle in there. I don't know if it would be like a very realistic pose. Maybe the leg would be cramping up around it. But there you go. And then this one can be in the back. Or like balancing them out. See what I mean? So once you understand one mapping point, then the other ones come a lot easier. And in this case, we focused heavily on just the aspect of the rib cage and the hip bones being two very simple shapes, and then learning how to connect everything from there. So, recap. So, before we go into drawing something cool, I need you guys to get me to at least 25,000 likes. If you guys get me to 25K, we can continue on. Meanwhile, we will draw on Post-its. Yeah, well, I'm going to explain this from the beginning on the Post-it so you guys can see it. How about that? Because I know that a lot of people come in later, but while you guys help me out by giving me little hearties and shares and all that crap, while you guys help me do that to get the certain landmarks, then I can help you guys out by recapping the stuff that we learned. Okay, so today's lesson was the egg and the ball. The egg gives us our upper body because this gives us a very easy representation of a human ribcage. The human ribcage, though, has one more element to it. It has the collarbone. That little weird bone that sticks out from the front and then connects to where your arms go from our little structure. Right? And we always have an issue with knowing how big the head is. So the way that I established to be able to figure that stuff out is just making it into one big system. So if we think about it like an egg with a circle at the top, a circle becomes this area. It becomes our neck. And since I draw heads with a cylinder, this just made sense. From there, to figure out this little collarbone area, I just went and I did a little triangle coming from the top and the middle of the rib cage in the front. That accomplishes that. And it also gives me the outside edge of my arm. The outside part, not the bone. I'm not drawing the bone. I'm drawing the outside. The bone would technically be in here. I'm drawing the outside edge of my arm. From the outside edge to inside, wherever my body goes, I'm going to give volume. The volume goes in. And then I can draw my arms a little bit more accurate. So you got outside, find the volume. Outside, find the volume, connect. And you can get a lot easier representation of mapping. Outside, inside volume. Outside line, inside volume. Outside line, inside volume. Okay, so that is the same thing that we were doing over and over and over with all these poses. So what you do, rib cage is an egg with a compass. These give you a point, and this becomes the outside edge of your arm. From here, you draw the outside and you draw volume going inside. Outside edge, volume inside. Bye-bye. So that's what we learned for the rib cage, for the collarbone. The collarbone also, if you need to move your arms up, those little triangles has to move up so that you can have that guideline looking up. If your arm is going down, that guideline stays relatively flat or points down a little bit. Okay? And that is how you use that. From here down to the middle of your rib cage is your pectoral muscles, and they stretch if you stretch your arm up. Okay? If you put it away, it stretches. You don't have to, you also cover part of your neck with it. And then when your shoulder comes in over this, it finishes the whole system. So that is what we learned in our initial part. Then, did we get there? Not quite. I think we have time to recap sushis too. The bottom part of the body is a sushi. A sushi is a circle or a sphere with the belly button in the middle. These two sides, though, they become the 2 points like we did here. Bonk and bonk. So outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Ta-da! So you can do these all day, every day, really quickly, and find yourself drawing bodies the easiest you've ever drawn them in your life. And when you learn more anatomy, you'll be able to apply your anatomy to these and be able to get even more detailed drawings because they're based on real anatomical mapping points. So you'll be able to add all your detailed anatomy on top of this without having to redraw this thing again. So it works really, really good. And when you combine them together, it becomes a really cool system. You will never see life drawing again the same way. When you go to life drawing class, you're going to be like, ooh, outside edge for the arm, outside edge for the arm, ooh, outside edge, volume inside, outside edge, volume inside. And you will be able to complete all those drawings in like 2 seconds flat. Like whenever they take like 4 hours, you're going to be done in like 20 minutes. And you're going to be like, what do I do? What else do I do here? I'm supposed to spend that long? Yeah, so let's do that. Why don't we do that? Let's do a really cool pose. Let's do a really cool pose with like pencil and everything. Let me go get my pencil. I'll be right back. I'm gonna grab a pencil and we're gonna draw a really cool like life drawing pose, like something that we would actually do at like a life drawing class. Where's my pencil? I thought I brought it with me. All right. So grab my little sketch wallet where I keep all of my pencils. Sketch wallet. Oh yeah, you guys should check them out. Sketch wallet. Whoop, whoop. They sent me one for free. They're awesome. All right, so I'm going to bust out a cool like reference pose so that I can actually do something from not necessarily memory. So I'm going to look up, I think I have modeling poses. Hold on. Where are my pinup reference posts? Pinup Tover, no. So I have like a bunch of reference stuff like that I save all the time. Mostly because I want to make sure that I have a lot of reference. Character designs. Okay. Let's see. I just need a pose. There you go. I think I got this one. All right, cool. So we're going to work on a pose that's a little bit complicated. We're going to work on a pose of a character looking back and twisting their body. So we're going to draw a body from the back. So we're going to draw a little egg. We're going to go and we're going to decide that this is the back. So, and remember, when you draw the midline, you're not just drawing the midline for one section. You should draw like a little circle inside so you can figure out the front of the other side as well. So in this case, I want to find the top of the spine, and I want to find where my little circle would connect the front, which is going to give me my compass that's going to guide my arms. I'm seeing this from the back, right? I'm not seeing this from the front, but I need to find this so I can find the connecting point for my spine. And I need that to go down to where my hip bones would be. But I need to find where my little hips would be first. So I'm going to draw myself my little circle, split it into 4. And I'm going to find my sides here and here. I have the outside edges of my legs now, so I can draw the outside edge into my volume inside. Once I decide the length of the width of my leg, I can close it off and I find my hole. This one is going to be replicated on the other side because they have to be the same length, the same width. This one, it seems like this character's pose leans for it to be more like that. Okay, so this is the outside flow into inside volume. Outside flow into inside volume. I can adjust things later. Right now I'm just getting the general idea of how the character's supposed to flow. Cool. No anatomy, no nothing right now, except for just knowing some landmarks. This shoulder is gonna be right here. The shoulder is gonna be right here. And then one of them is gonna be in the front. So I'm going to need to bring this even more foreshortened into me. So instead of being so far out, I want it to be a little bit more right here. Because I want it to be more coming towards the camera. So this is the very tip of my shoulder. So all my lines are gonna flow up and around this. Okay, same thing with this one. This is the edge of my body. So this is the very tip of my body. So my arm goes around and then down whichever path I want. Let's make it go this way. And we'll make it come out this way. The first part of your arm is going to roughly be where your rib cage ends. Okay, that's going to be where your elbow is roughly. And then that second part is going to reach all the way to your knuckles, but not your fingers. This second part to your knuckles is going to be the same distance as the first section. So your arm, studies, lesson time. Okay, well, your arm in itself is going to be like this. Shoulder, bicep, palm, forearm. Okay? Those two are the same, and then your fingers are on top. That's roughly going to be the ratios that you have. And that's going to be pretty standard when it comes down to most characters. So arm, arm. So this is the outside volume, inside, inside. So now I have a little bit of girth to that. My rib cage fans out up until this compass. And then this other arm is going to replicate this one, match this, and then it's going to fan out this way. Outside, inside. Outside volume, based on that mapping point, back inside. We're going to give her clothing too, so we're going to end up having to draw some extra stuff on the side anyways. Our hands would go up. Boom. Then in the front, we get to decide how much of a taper we want. If we want big boobies, or we want like character traits, like a backpack or anything like that, that's what you would do. The breast would be in the front, coming down as a little heart from the actual rib cage. So if you wanted to draw boobies, you could draw the circle and then draw a heart from there. If you draw a heart, from there you can get a good representation of breasts, especially if they're in a t-shirt. So from here, we draw a little heart to come up with both of our breasts. And they wrap around our rib cage. We can decide how big of a curvature and how big of a booty we want to give her from here, because this is just our rib cage. This is our skeletal structure. This is not our actual body. Like, it is our body, but it's not our entire body. It's just the actual bones and the flow lines. We still need to go in and add volume to these things. So if you want a butt, it's going to be about right there. And then you add volume to your booty. And then we can start going into a little bit more on that. Let's go to the head. Let's go to the head. We have our arm, we have our back, we have our hole for our actual neck. So from there, we have our spine as well. So we already have all the information that we need. I'm gonna draw a cylinder, some lines, establish where my ear is gonna go, but she's twisting her head in this pose. So the cylinder just rotates around that, and this becomes the front. Boom, 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 boom. I decide that this is the ear. So we're gonna draw the ear over here. And the spine still connects there. And let's give her a hat. From here, I don't know if you guys have never watched any of my videos, I do a lot of face construction videos. And I show people how to draw the face in a bunch of different ways. But it's mostly based on a triangle. I like drawing things from a triangle because it gives me all the guidelines that I need. And we're going to go into detail with the pen anyways. So from here, our legs are going to be as such. I'm going to divide this into two teardrops. Teardrop number one, teardrop number two. Teardrop number one, teardrop number two. From the back, we overlap the top line because that's our calf. We overlap that line because that's our calf. And then if we want to give something like shoes or anything, we just have to find volume. So that means just drawing little circles inside of our shape. and then expanding these a little bit to be able to give myself a little bit of volume. I can do this with whatever style I want. Let's give her some slippers. And some poofy socks. If you want like little folds in your clothing, just twist those in a different direction. And you have volume lines. Okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's see, what else should we give her? So now that we have the general shape, cool. And it's really rough, right? So we're gonna erase a lot of it so that we have a lighter sketch when we go into with our pen. I know it sounds counterproductive, right? To like sketch it just to erase it. But you're not gonna erase it completely. You're just leaving a little bit of a guideline. Imagine that you're like a tattoo artist and you're leaving your stencil. Gotta be careful because this paper is not very thick, so I don't want to mess it up too much. Cool. All right, now we have markers, so we get to play with markers today. So, boom, boom. I have some Illo markers, and we're gonna play with some silhouetting. Let's play with some silhouette. All right, let's see. What are we gonna play with? Let's do blue. Let's do blue. It's gonna make the thing mesh really nicely. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go over the sections in my sketch that would have clothing. I'm gonna go over the sections that would just have clothing so that I can draw my clothing in really, really quickly. Using that really thin line sketch, I can really easily go in and just outline the sketches. Now, a lot of people are gonna have a lot of hard time drawing something that they can't see. This becomes an issue with people that can't visualize things really properly. When you're painting or when you're doing watercolors or working with ink or anything like that, a lot of the times what's going to happen is that you're going to need to actually draw things, sketch them, and then you're going to have to be able to visualize them outside of that. Like you need to still be able to see the lines that you set down, even if you can't necessarily see them. And this is a visualization issue. And that's something that normally people that are starting off have a very hard time with. Like a very hard time with, because you guys just don't see things yet. But everybody eventually ends up getting it if they practice it enough. So I highly recommend that you guys keep it up. Keep on practicing. And I'm also gonna do the hair. I was gonna do it a different color, but nah. All right, so we have that. You can also add shadows. You can add different elements. If you wanted to keep the skin tone being the one in the middle, you can always just color around it. Right, if you don't want that skin tone to be a different color, except for the color of the paper, you can always just color around the skin tone, and it's gonna give it a nice little pop. See. Okay, anything that is going to be white or relatively a lighter color should have some darker color next to it. So so that it actually pops a little bit more. Those are just basic rules of contrasts. And if you wanted to make it look pretty, we can always give it a nice little layout. We did say we got to make it look pretty. So markers, if you go too quick, you'll leave streaks. So don't go too quick, go slow. Let the actual flow of the ink happen from the marker instead of from the dragging of the paint. And you'll avoid a lot more streaking by just going slower. Okay, so go a little slower. Your marker will thank you and you will have better artwork. Cool, so now we have this, we have that, we have that. Let's add some detail. Now we can go in with our pens. Let's see. That one's dead. Where's my pens that work? There you go. Let's go in. Now that we have all the silhouetting done, we can go in and add all the cool details. I highly recommend you start from the top down, because most of the time that is where people mess up. They end up smudging their drawings. They end up making like a mess of things because they decide to go in a different direction that they should. Our neck muscles, our shoulder. And all this is going to be a lot of learning how overlapping shapes work. Especially when it comes down to like creating perspective from simplified shapes. It's all about how you overlap a simple line to make it look like it has depth. The curvature of a single guideline can change the direction of the entire drawing. Let's see, I want to make this a little bit skinnier. Let's see. And as you get better, you're going to be quicker. You're going to be able to draw more detailed things, more things with awesome like storytelling and stuff like that. And the best part is you guys won't be guessing where things go. That is the ultimate part of it. Like just knowing that you don't have to guess where things go anymore. Because that is normally the most annoying thing ever. So this t-shirt's a little weird. It's a little bit off. It's okay. Let's give it a shadow. drawings like these are really fun to do. Like whenever you go in and like randomly decide to, create something. Those are the best times, honestly. Like that's when you like get the most and like awesomest like portfolio pieces sometimes. So I highly recommend you guys try it more often. Let's fill in the spaces. Let's make our booty a little bit smaller. Let's see. Blasta. I think that means tasty in like Gaelic or like in Scottish or something, if I remember correctly. How much for a workout picture? How much for a workout picture? Like, you mean you want to have me take a picture of me working out? Oh, well, I'm not like an OnlyFans account. You're going to have to take me out to dinner if you want that shit. I like tacos. I'm a cheap date. All right, let's change her color of her hair a little bit so that stands out against. And a couple little contrast elements. A little bit of shadows. And I think we have successfully completed our sketchy sketch. So, we got to add her, like, we got to give her like some tattoos and stuff. So we ain't done yet. In a little bit of, bam, bam, bam. Can leave her without a little bit of details in her mouth, face. Yeah. All right. That'll dry. And then tattoos. What type of tattoos do we want to give her? Pokemon tattoos, obviously. Then maybe a little heart. Maybe a band. Maybe right here, she has like a cool scene on her thigh. Into maybe some. Ooh, no, I have an Ouroboros tattoo, so I'm going to draw an Ouroboros tattoo in here. And we'll have like some plants and stuff like that in the bottom. Followed by, ooh, I've always liked the whole, like, when they make like the lacing. Oh, that looks so pretty. I'm going to do that. Maybe into a rod is cool. Or just a RODGON signature. Yeah. And I was going to give her a tramp stamp. If I could. Batman symbol. A woman after my own heart. If I ever meet a girl that has the Flash like symbol tattooed on her, or another Ouroboros tattoo, because I have an Ouroboros tattoo. So if I ever meet a girl with an Ouroboros tattoo, I'm just gonna be like, all right, I guess we're doing this. We're done. Let's go. No, we won life. No, we already won. It's okay. We won. We found each other. Let's go. I think he has, yeah, I have one. So, not a bad for a nice little quick sketch, right? So, what did we apply? Let's draw a couple extra things. Making a mess here. Let's add a little bit of white with our pencil. I hate these pencils. Stop getting in my way, little stupid little paper thing. I'll wrap you up. You don't even know. There you go. Damn. There you go. You can't contain. Perfect. All right, so let's clean off the tip. And let's add a little bit of white. Just a little bit of white. Just in the areas where I want a little bit of highlighting. And let's put, this looks a little bit off to me. Hold on. Neck, shoulder, division, raglan sleeve. Is that why I have like a raglan sleeve going on, but it's not? It's a normal traditional sleeve. There you go, that's why. Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit off right there, but it's fine. Yeah, the angle right here is a little bit off from this. So this, technically my arm should be coming out this way. So, yeah, I'll show you. My arm should technically, due to that length right there, to this hole, my arm, I have it coming out this way, but my arm should technically come out this way based on the flow of that arm. So I'm gonna change it. So instead of going in here and just being like, oh no, it's the wrong drawing. Nah, we don't do that shit. We fix stuff here. And I messed it up because I changed the direction of it. So no, again. I hate ripping it wrong. There you go. All right, a little bit smaller. Perfect. All right, now we're gonna make it cooler. So the flow goes down this way instead of that way. That's just the natural flow of things. And we have it go this way. Volume inside, volume inside. Then we got a chance to kind of fix the t-shirt issue and the boobies issue. The shirt would curve up, the hips would curve up. The hips could go into the body, and then it would create a little overlap right there. Cool. And that looks a lot better to me. All right, so where are my markers? I spilled them all over the place. Is this the color? I think so. So just a quick little filler in. And I think I'm going to leave it like that. I kind of like that. Yeah, I really like that, actually. Get a little bit of tape. And seal it in stone. Done. And I can draw around it too if you want. But so yeah, that is how I would normally approach drawing something after I learn a little bit about it. So once I learn a little bit through my studies, right, I like to apply that to something as fast as I can, because that is what's gonna cement it in stone. If you take the time to actually apply the knowledge that you learn, the sooner you do that, well, the sooner you're going to have it in your mental library. And your mental library is what allows you to be able to draw from memory. So I highly suggest that you guys actually take the time to implement those things, because otherwise you're going to think you know it, you're going to think you know what you're doing, but when the time comes that you actually have to do it, you're not going to be able to do it. Or you're not going to, because you're going to be afraid. So just go for it. Just do it all the time. Let's see, do I remove this area? Nah, fuck it, just leave it there. Literally go on his page. There's so many men. What? I literally go on this page and there's so many men you're reaching. Well, I mean, I reach men and women. My channel is mostly, it's like 80% or 75% men, and then 25% women or something like that, 75, 25. So it is mostly men, but it's not things that are tailored to men. It just happens to be that more people that are men tend to follow me. But that ratio is changing. That ratio is changing. It's been growing considerably more on the other side for a while now. So the statistics looking a little bit more balanced out. I think it's like 30-40 now. Or 30-60 or 60-40 or something like that. I don't know. I learned a lot from you. Thank you. Someone said they only see you draw women. Okay. Well, you see what you want to see, but I draw a lot less women than I do men. I think I draw more dragons than I do women, but hey. You see whatever you want to see, buddy. If all you see is things that upset you, like, or annoy you or whatever, well, that's your life. That's what you are going to see. I call it the red bug theory. If you think about just watching the people and the cars and everything around you, and you just focus on red bugs, you're going to see a lot of red bugs. You want to see Porsches? Focus on watching and thinking about Porsches. You're going to manifest seeing more Porsches. You want more opportunities in life? Do the same thing. I want to tattoo your art on my forehead. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't tattoo my art on your forehead. That'd be dumb. Wait until it's like 80-year-old Rod, and then you can tattoo my art on your forehead. Because then that's like optimal Rod. That's Optimus Rod. And that's like the person that's going to be the person I die, like level, like artwork wise, right? So if you wait until then, and then I can be like, yeah, I'll never get better. Definitely go ahead and tattoo this on your forehead, buddy. And I'll be like, cool. But until then, I wouldn't suggest on the forehead, at least on the arm, maybe on like, like your lower back or something. That'd be kind of cool. But don't do it on your forehead. Not yet. The people are asking what markers you use. I'm using Illo. They're called Illo markers. They sent them to me for free. They're kind of like Copics. like any alcohol marker really is pretty much the same thing. Don't really use them very much because they bleed horribly through your paper. Like they bleed through horribly, like massively. So the reason that I have a lot of brown stock paper right now is because I bought origami paper so that I could stick it into my sketchbook. That way I could have tone paper and I can have normal paper and the same sketchbook. And it's really fun sometimes to be able to play with colors, not gonna lie. And I focus so much on making my sketchbooks be like proper, like educational, that I haven't really focused on making them look pretty in a very long time. So I think that has to change. I think I have to change back a little bit, just a little bit. Not completely. I'm not gonna go rogue on you guys and change exactly what you guys like out of my channels. But I do have to start applying a little bit more of my own elementations to things. Mostly because I just wanna develop my IPs more. And I think I'm finally at the point where I can do it. I think I'm finally at the point where I can just sit down and draw anything and actually make it look appealing. Which is dope. It's a really cool realization to have. And amen, a lot of it is just understanding that I'm not guessing where things go anymore. Once you learn where things are established, how things connect, how things go, you stop guessing so much. And when you stop guessing, then you get to be creative. The elimination of doubt is an absolute key in the growth of you as an artist. And if you learn how to get there, well, no one can take that away from you. Let's see, shoulder, arm, do something weird. Understanding how hands work allows you to be able to draw some crazy hand positions that work, but at the same time, you're like, how does that work? But it works really good. All right. So I guess this would be a good time to mention that I do have books for sale if you guys do feel like purchasing any of them. I have books in the form of a couple. I have 2 art block books, which are meant to help you break out of your art block. I don't like this little face. And I have a big book of pinups. The big book of pinups is 100 pages 100 pages of beautiful little pinups in all sorts of styles and all sorts of methods and all sorts of. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that one. So if you guys are looking to get something or support, the easiest way to do it is through my books. Or you guys can just go sign up to my YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is pretty darn extensive. And it teaches you a lot. I spent about 7 years working on this stuff. Like just different techniques, different focuses. I teach everything from digital to traditional to how to live as an artist, to not starve to death, to how like actually deal with clients. A bunch of different things. So I highly recommend you guys go check it out. I'm not sure to not starve. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like a lot of people don't know how to make money with their art. Like a lot of people don't know how to make money with their art. And a lot of people end up quitting or leaving the whole profession because they need to make money. And if they don't know how to make money, like how are you supposed to maintain this for a long time, you know? Like how are you supposed to do this and get to anywhere significant if you don't have the ability to do it 24/7? And that comes in the form of learning that you need to make money with your artwork if you want to continue doing your artwork for a living. If you want to do it for fun, you don't need to do it you don't need to like, spend your time doing what I do and like grabbing everything into your system. You don't need to because it's not a necessary thing. You don't need to because you're not using it to pay your living. But if you're using it as a means to maintain yourself and be able to sustain yourself, well, guess what? You can't be like, oh my God, I don't feel like drawing today. Oh my God, I don't feel like doing this today. Oh my God, I don't want to do this. I don't feel motivated. I don't feel like, you know what? Like I didn't have my Starbucks, so now I don't want to draw. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. That's not how anything works. When you're doing art for a living, you essentially have to be like, okay, I feel like shit. Okay, so I guess we're drawing with the feeling of shit in our brains. Yes, it's okay. Or you go, okay, I have to finish this deadline. Oof, but I have no energy or motivation to do it. But I am hungry and I do like food. So I guess I'm going to draw. And it's literally just that. How do you make your coloring feel natural? I don't know what you mean by that. I'm just color filling right now. So right now, all I'm doing to color in is I'm just filling in inside of the lines. So if I were to go and do like, I don't know, like let's do some light shading. We'll give ourselves some guidelines so that we know where to shade. Okay, so let's say that we were doing some light shading on a character. If we grab something light, let's say that the light source is right here. Okay, if the light source is on this side, obviously everything opposed to it is going to be shaded. So if this was a box, if the light is over here, the shading would happen this way, right? Creating two surfaces that would give me a semblance of depth. You would have one side on this box that's shaded. You would have one side on this box on the bottom that'd be shaded. And then you'd be having one side that's lit. The back side of this would have a lot darker shading because there's absent of any light. So what you have to remember is when you have a light source here, you got to think of your head and find these two surfaces. You got to find this midline. Boom. And that midline is very easy to identify. It's your eyebrow, into your eye, into your nose, into your chin. So this, no, it's a little bit weird to be able to follow those guidelines, but a lot of the times you're going to be able to find those mapping points relatively easy. Let's try it again. So if we're drawing a face and we find ourselves with your eyebrows, your nose, and your mouth and your chin, you already have the side of your face. It literally just contours here. Okay? Adding the extra curves and stuff like that just gives you more of an element of your cheekbones and stuff. But essentially it goes eyebrow, edge of eye, into your chin. And that tends to be the general area where you mask or you shadow and underneath the eyes, and between the eyebrows and the eyes. If you do it from there. So that's how, like, I don't know, simple shading would work like that. Or you can just divide it like a box at first and then draw all your features, limiting up until that line. Right? If you draw all your features, but you limit it up to here, well, you know that that's the side of the face. So there's different ways to go about it, but, you know, find your own. Find the way that works for you. And when you do, try doing different, like, placements for the light source and see what lights up and how much of the actual, like, surfaces you understand. This is going to test to know if you know where surfaces come and go. Let's see. So the shadows would hit the eye, it would light up right there, but then the forehead would be dark. The upper part of the cheeks would be lit up. No, the bottom part of the cheekbones would be lit up, but the upper part of the mouth wouldn't. So if you had a light source from the bottom, it would be a little bit different. This is the light source from here. Learning how different angles work is very important. When you draw yourself a guideline like I do, like I teach you guys, it's very simple to be able to draw the shadows because you already have all the guidelines. It's all crooked-eyed now. But yeah, that's essentially the whole concept behind, like, lighting. You got to set a light source. Opposite of that light source is going to be your shadows. This one would extend all the way over here because of that. Then from there, generating your light source can be dependent. If you have your light source behind that source, it becomes a rim light. If it's in front of it, it becomes a little spotlight, right? If it's overly completely in front of it, it would create a bunch more lighting. So it depends on how and what you do that with. That also depends on the type of lighting that you end up with. So it's just about understanding how the light sources meld around your shapes. And when it gets to more complicated shapes, kind of like your egg and your ball, you end up having to see them as two separate entities. When you go into shadows, like more established body parts, with more sections to it, like legs, arms, hands, all that stuff is basic shapes. So if your light source is there, you can light it up like a basic shape. Okay. All the way down to that cylinder that you draw for the head. So many bots today, huh? Well, thank you so much, KK. Thank you so much to my bots for keeping us sane through all these. Any tips for making a silhouette recognizable? You just have to make sure that your limbs are readable. If your silhouette doesn't read, it's because your arms and your legs are overlapping too much. So if your silhouette is clear, that means that your arms are doing exactly what they need to outside and your body is in. So I also don't like silhouetting. I do not. I hate having the whole concept of your silhouette has to read perfectly. It's so stupid. Like, it's just, what happens if you have to create like a shy character? You know, like with their arms tucked in. Like, what? That's not a good pose? That's not a strong enough pose because that's not a good silhouette? No, it really does depend on the actual action that you need to do. So don't think that little rules like that are like the go out be all. Yeah, you could do it like that with your arms to the side, but maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe I just want to cross my arms. And it's not a very interesting pose if I see it as a silhouette, but it could be an incredibly interesting pose if I actually take the time to learn how to actually stylize it. Right? Gangster pose. Bam. For a poster. So that's also the same thing with the action line, right? I just don't like it. It's just one of those things that I just don't like. And it's just, I like to always make sure to like reiterate it. I don't like that body either. That's better. It's more proportioned. Boom, boom. Outside, inside volume. Outside, inside volume. Outside, inside volume. That is the one thing that I wish that you guys take away from today. Learning to draw your limbs with outside, inside volume. Outside, inside volume. And getting used to doing that is going to help you understand a little bit more how your body parts flow. Outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. Okay? Get used to these curvatures because that's going to help you. Hope I'm not poking you too much, but any tips on composition? Well, our lesson is done for today. So we're done drawing with the rod gun for today, my dearies. It's okay. We will continue tomorrow with another lesson. We are going to make each one of the pages in this sketchbook into a lesson / drawing something cool lesson. And mostly because I want you guys to really understand the importance of being proud of the little things that you guys create. If you spend all your time studying, but you don't spend the time to apply that knowledge to something useful, that knowledge becomes null and void. Essentially, it actually becomes a hindrance at one point. Ooh, no, okay. It didn't bleed through. Does this not bleed through? Wait. No, it did bleed through. Never mind. Look at that. And that is why we don't use the marker on the white part. But we use it on the Post-its, and we can use it on the actual colored paper. But not on the white part, Rod. See, now I got to go back into the other page and I got to make that into a scar. Hold on. Hold on. Let me finish this one. I have such bad ADHD. That's why I never get anything done. Okay, so that's complete. Cool. Now we can go back here. And then this guy now needs something because that line is bugging me now. Okay, so what are we going to draw with this guy now that he has a line right in the middle of his face? We can fill this in with black, so that doesn't work. So this is going to be... What goes in these lines? A hat? Yeah, that's fine. No cabbie hat. There you go. Cool. Done. Oh, yeah. I'm good. I'm awesome. Anyways. Boom. Now get the corner. It's taped, so the tape won't let me. The tape will not allow me to. See? It just won't let me. Anyways, I hope you guys like this new format that we're going to be applying to our systems. Mostly because I need to improve even more. And this is the way that I'm going to improve. I'm going to improve a lot more if I actually take the time to actually do something pretty with the knowledge that I teach you guys. And then eventually these sketchbooks will turn into beautiful little pieces of artwork, right? So all these sketchbooks get scanned and sold to you guys as the art block series. So the art block series gets on evolving every time. Like they just get better and better because I get better and better. So they just get really, really cool as they progress. Number 3, the animal one, is going to look fucking dope. Like that one is cool. Not as cool as the pinup book, but it's still pretty darn cool. And I hope that I get that next book done next week. Hopefully I have it done next week. Hopefully. But we'll see how that goes. Everybody, have a lovely day. Hope you guys have something really nice happen to you today. I hope that your crush hits you up and says that they like you. I hope that your favorite dish has a little bit extra seasoning in the things that you like, and a little less in the things that you don't. I hope that your TV show plays the rerun that you absolutely love so much that you can't stand it, that you haven't seen it in a while. And I hope that tonight's rest is when you get to go to sleep. I hope that you guys have the deepest, most wonderful sleep that you guys have ever had. And you have the most beautiful dreams and the most lovely time tomorrow as well. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for another lesson, okay? Till then, take care. Love you all. Have a wonderful day. And yeah, just live a little, laugh a little, love a little, and draw a lot. Take care, everybody.